Hi, it's the 27th of August and we are solving quadratic equations using square roots. So, first thing we have to know is how many are possible. So, if we ever have it, there's three things that can happen. So let's write down those three things. And then, so here we go. If x squared equals a negative number, there are no real solutions. None at all. None. If x squared ever equals 0, then there's one real solution. And if x squared is a positive number, any positive number, there's always two solutions. Okay? So, what kind of questions can they ask in order to get an answer like this? Well, they could say something like this: x squared equals negative 20. Well, then we would answer no real solutions. And on IXL, they just have three buttons, just like this. You'd push that one. No real solutions. Right? They could, what would it look like for it to be like this? Well, we could say x squared, let's see, plus 43 equals 43. Right? Well, how do I solve that? Well, I have to subtract 43 from both sides. And lo and behold, x squared equals 0. That means that there's no solution. So like I said, on IXL, they'll give you three buttons. If it looks like this one, the answer is 0. And so what would it look like if it was like this? They could say something like this: x squared minus 9 equals, I don't know, 82. Right? Well, what do I have to do? I have to add 9. And so I get x squared equals 91. It's a positive number, so that means that there are two answers. So like I said, they'll give you questions like this, and they'll give you three boxes that you can, buttons that you can push. If it's a positive number, if whenever you solve it, it's a positive number, you hit 2. If it's 0, you hit one possible answer, and then if it's negative, you have to hit none. So let me give you a couple here. So here I've got x squared plus 17 equals 13. So if I look at that, look at it real carefully, which button would you pick? Think about it, solve it. X squared equals negative. Oh no, if it's negative, you have to push this button right here. Right? Okay, what if I had just something like this? X squared minus 4 equals 60. Think about it. Which button would I pick? You know. Add 4, x squared equals 64. Positive number, that means you'd pick that. Okay, so we know how many solutions they are. Now then, we have to write what the solutions are. Okay, so let's get rid of these little examples here. And now all the ones we're going to give you are going to have solutions. In fact, they're going to have two solutions, and you have to write them both. Okay, so here we go. Start off with a real easy one. X squared equals 81. Well, hey, I know that there's two answers to that because that's positive. So they say, what are they? Well, what you have to do is take the square root of both sides. Well, I know that x is 9. And a lot of people just stop there, but there's actually two answers. So let me show you why. So I've got my parabola, and like that. And the question is, here I am at x squared. This is y equals x squared, remember? And so, whenever I put 1 in, 1 comes out, because 1 squared is 1. And when 2 goes in, 4 comes out. When 3 goes in, 9 comes out. When 4 goes in, 16 comes out, right? So we just keep going down and down and down. So when 9 goes in, 81 comes out. We know that, right? 9 is the number that makes 81 come out. But look, right over here, there's another time when 81 comes out. And so what do you think? It's got to be negative 9. So there's always two answers. X is positive and X is negative. Two answers. We said there were two answers. This is the reason why. Because a parabola goes on forever. I didn't mean to make it stop right there, because it goes up forever and ever and ever and ever. Because if I go over here at 10, I'd be up there at 100. If I'm at 11, I'm at 121. You know, so if I'm back here at 5, I'm at 25. So all these numbers here have a meaning, and what we're doing is finding what the answer would be. So let's do that one we just talked about. What if we had something like this? Well, we'd have to add the 4, so that would be x squared equals 64, and then we say, what are the two answers? Well, hey, I know the square root of 64. That means x is 8, and also negative 8. Right, so you have to write both answers, and you can't just not do it. So they do that over and over 1,000 times. Then they get tricky. What about fractions? Fraction answers, for the same reason, there's going to be two. So let's just talk about those. What if we had something like 16x squared equals 25? Well, remember, we can't solve it unless we get x squared by itself. So I have to divide by 16. And now we do not want decimals. So don't actually divide it. Leave it like that. Then, whenever you want to solve it, we've got this. Remember, to solve this, you have to take the square root of both these things, right? So the square root of this fraction. The square rooting fractions is yucky. But look at the time. If you do it this way, you know the square root of 25 already. That's 5. And you know the square root of 16 is 4. So one of the answers is 5 over 4. And the other answer, obviously, has to be negative 5 over negative 4. So once again, we have two answers. So whenever you're in IXL, they're going to give you questions where they ask you what the answers are. There's always one positive. Whoops. Did you see me do that? That's bad. The negative only goes on top, not on bottom. Right? 5 over 4, negative 5 over 4. This whole thing is the answer. If you have negative over negative, you'll get marked wrong. Let's try another one. Let's try 36x squared plus 24 equals 25. Okay, so they're trying to be tricky, but you are not tricked. You say, I can do this. You have the plus there. You know that means you have to subtract 24 from both sides. And then I get 36x squared equals 1. Divide by 36, because you have to get x squared by itself. If it's not by itself, you can't do anything. So I divide by 36. And that gives me 1 over 36. Well, remember, just like what we did over here, you have to take the square root of everything. Well, I know that this is x, and then this one over here is square root of 1. 1 times 1 is 1, so the square root is 1, and the square root of 36 is 6. So that's one of the answers, and you know by now that the other one has to be negative 1/6. So I've got positive 1/6 and negative 1/6. Two answers to the question, right? So that's what you're going to be doing today, solving by using square roots. That's it. Bye.